This Premier League Futures Focus edition of the Premier League Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with the promo code PLGP to get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Rebet. Rebet is a new social sportsbook available in 45 states. Download the Rebet app, use the code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $100. And we're brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing college football and the NFL with Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Welcome, everybody, to the Premier League Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Today is Tuesday, November the 19th, apparently, and we are here to talk about maybe the Premier League futures. Loads of stuff. We're going to go team by team tonight. We're going to do 20 desktop reviews, give our knee-jerk eye test analysis, pick out some trends, pick out some bets, things we like, things we don't like. Some of it will be very well statistically thought out. The rest of it will be, I assume, bollocks. Barry shaking his head. Joining me is nearly on time, practically on time, is Mr. Barry Penaluna. When you first come on the screen there, Baz, you were in transit, you were walking along. I thought you were doing that thing that American bird does, where she gives bets out with her knockers wobbling about. I thought you'd gone into that market, but then you moved the clothes horse and you sat down. How are you getting on? What's happening? Well, you're on mute for a start, so that's a terrible start.
Terrible start. You see about the practice. This is what the international break does. It fucking sends you all askew, doesn't it? I'm doing all right. I seem to have little lights shining down on my head. I've tried to resolve that, but that hasn't happened. I'm okay. I'm feeling refreshed. More so leading up to the weekend, I haven't watched any football. I reckon I watched about 15 minutes of football in the last 2 weeks. I watched a very small part of the England game the other day, but otherwise didn't bother with any of it. I didn't really take any notice of any of it, so that was refreshing. But as always, looking forward to getting steamed into the Premier League stuff on Thursday night, I suspect. Let's be honest, Malcolm, we're scraping the barrel again a bit tonight, aren't we, to try and put a show out with some content. Maybe you've got some well thought out and well reasoned picks and analysis on every team that you've covered. I'm not as confident there's as much value in my stuff, but we'll see. We'll see. I haven't used AI today, so I have used my own head and reasoning and things. So that's a start.
That's good. Well, I mean, you say we're scraping the barrel. This may well turn out to be an award-winning show, Barry. You know, by the time we get into it, who's to say? I've got Australian Love Island on the telly. I think it's episode 1. Worth a look if anyone's tuning in. Who was here? Andy was first in the chat. Andy, welcome. Callum's here. Lee, Michael, Harry, Chelsea. Joe Bamba's here. Joe, we haven't seen Joe for a little while. Welcome. Nice to have you back, Joe. Joe wants to know about, I assume you mean Manchester United, not Colchester United or something like that there, Joe. You'll have to clarify. Getting into the top 6. We'll come to them in a little while. We're doing it team by team, like from the top down. So you might have to wait a little while, Joe, till we get to Manchester United. The short answer to your question is absolutely no chance. But yes, we'll get to that. We'll have a little look at our picks from the weekend, but I've got to read these things out on time, Barry. There was a missive sent out. Read these things out on time. So this is 5 minutes in. If you haven't downloaded the SGPN app, you're missing out. All the shows, all the picks, all the podcasts, all on one page. Type SGPN in your app store to download it today. I went 1 for 3, Baz, but I'll be honest, I would make the same picks all over again. I was fully deserving of 3 for 3. Northampton draw, no bet hit, 0-0 at Blackpool. Did I give out the 0-0? Said it was very possibly going to be a 0-0. That might have been another game. That's it. Bristol Rovers drew 0-0 with Crawley, hit the underside of the bar twice in the first half. Absolutely mauled them. Couldn't score. And Altrincham were in front with 10 minutes left. And if you get to that point, I think you're an unlucky loser. So I was on the right lines, but that's what it is. So I lost 0.7 of a unit, Barry. But the main question is, how was the AI?
The big headline there, Malcolm, is you've been outdone by AI. So the AI delivered, and to me, there was a little bit of interest in AI in the social medias. A few comments. Lenny, who's a regular listener, as you know, he's always in the Discord, contacted me on Twitter. He showed me his notes for the weekend's EFL stuff, and he was bang in tune with AI. He had a lot of picks that matched up with the AI. So maybe him and AI were shopping around in the same sort of research areas. But the 3 best bets, there was 3 winners put out and 2 winners and 1 loser. So 2 out of 3, which is better than your 1 out of 3.
Correct.
We did put out a couple of extra things. I asked it for its best game for goals in League 2. It did come up with a 1-1 game, which failed, so that was a miss. But as you know, we also covered the Wrexham Stockport game. Andy Williams had put out his suggestion that Stockport would win that. So we double-checked that with how AI felt about it, and AI also liked Stockport. Stockport did win that 1-0. So not a bad shout. I think we're okay. We haven't been retired yet. But AI could play a part in the future. I did use it a little bit tonight just to do some research. Like I was looking at Man City and I wanted to know where were Man City after 11 games in each of the last 5 seasons. And you ask AI that and you get an answer within 5 seconds and it'll just tell you all 5 of those seasons. So that, it's got a place when it comes to research, I think.
Right. Can we not say AI from now until February? Can I just... But I'm a very analog man, Barry. Ryan, the gaffer here, enjoys how analog. The fact I'm sitting here with a pen in my hand and this notebook will tell you that I am very much analog. So we don't need no AI, Barry. The big news here, Barry.
What happens there, Malcolm? If you're asking me not to involve AI anymore, then that's just going to encourage me to bring more AI up. So,
it's not though, is it? Because I won't stand for it, and that's the end of that. The big news here domestically, Barry, is we've got a new washing up bowl. Hey, come on. It's exciting, isn't it? The only issue I've got with it, Barry, is it's grey. It's the same colour as the old one. Now, if I was going to get a new washing up bowl, I'd get a different colour. You know what I mean? Mix it up.
Yeah, what colour is it? Grey.
Grey? Do you want us to get it?
No, you're all right.
No.
I mean,
okay, that's fine.
I mean, you could just send somebody else if you want, but I'm not time filling while you go grab a washing up bowl.
There's no one else. There's no one else to go and get it, but because everyone's got to bed.
On a similar note, domestically, Malcolm, we've had a bit of a nightmare this week. Last week I was ironing a shirt, and the ironing board collapsed. Just gave up. Legs gone. The welding on the bottom of it has gone. There was no fixing it. It was on the floor. The shirt was on the floor. The iron was on the floor with bits hanging off it. So that was bad. Bought a new ironing board this week. How much does a new ironing board cost you, Malcolm? Roughly?
This is not my department. £27.
£27. That would be a bargain. £40 it costs for an ironing board. So for £40, you would think you're getting a good ironing board, aren't you?
Yeah.
Put it up first time at the weekend, and honestly, it just wobbled. Like the legs, it's like the legs are all like 2 inches shorter than the other. It's just ridiculous. It's got no use whatsoever as an ironing board. So that'll be going back. I'm not happy about that. £40.
Bloody Thatcher's Britain in it, but it's absolute swindle.
And another, I've got another. I've got a few domestic things. I put an order in with Amazon the other day. It was the world's rudest advent calendar So basically, it's an advent calendar, and you open it up, and it says something like "Even cunts deserve chocolate" or something like that. But we got one of them each for the kids, as you do. The parcel arrived, and I get the notification on my phone saying your chocolate advent calendars, rude advent calendars have arrived. Open the parcel. What do you think's in there? I've ordered 2 advent calendars, and in there is 3 things. What do you think they were?
2 advent calendars, and I'm going to go with a plushy avocado.
No, not even close. No advent calendars. There's a 2025 page a day diary, Christmas present for someone. That's all right. Some spray on face misting tan solution type thing. It's basically some spray that you put on your face to tan it. As you can see, I haven't used it tonight just yet. No. And some peach flavored lip balm.
Ooh,
what's that all about? So obviously what I did was price up the 3 items and see whether we'd got good value for the £16 we'd spent on advent calendars. And it turned out we'd done all right. So that was okay. But we kicked off with Amazon, and they let us keep the 3 random items that they'd sent, and they've sent 2 new advent calendars. So that's a winner to start the week off that.
Lee Smith might have just won the joke of the year category in the chat there. Callum said that he now gets an email every time we go live. The Lee's put, you get one from Mal at 10 and then one from Barry at 20 past. Hey!
That's good effort, Lee. Well done.
Excellent joke. Sing the company anthem. That, Lee. Lee's retired. Top class. Well done. Very, very good. So, I've got one thing to tell you, actually. I saw something at football on Saturday, Barry. I have never, ever, 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 ever seen in 49 years. I don't ever think I'll see it again. Quite astonishing. It's a nothing game. We're playing Hexham. Nothing much going on. We've talked about young referees, haven't we? Obviously, because your daughter's on our journey and stuff like that. The referee's not the actual story, but it's kind of the genesis of the story. Kid turns up, he's about 15 years old, and I have no idea why he wants to be a referee, because he didn't join in. He blew his whistle at the start. The next time he blew his whistle was at half-time. He didn't want anything to do with any of it. He just didn't join in. So that's not the story. It was just baffling. But he got away with it because the kids were all quite well behaved. The parents were quite well behaved. Halfway through the second half, one of their parents, so I'm running the line on this side, ball's over on the far side, scrappy games, horrible pitch. Little tackle goes in, tackle goes. And this parent comes on the pitch. Stop the game, stop the game, stop the game. Your number 17's just fouled our player. That's a free kick to Hexham. And he just awarded himself a free kick. And the weirdest thing about all of that was everyone just allowed it to happen. Our lads just retreated back to the edge of the box and they restarted with a free kick that this parent had just given. And the referee still never joined in, just allowed all of that to carry on. And that was the end of that. Talking about referees, there's one behind you there, but I have never, ever seen or heard or anything. He just awarded himself a free kick, and it was allowed to crack on. What do you think of that?
That's a little bit nuts, really. I mean, we do see a lot of referees in the football that we play that just don't get involved. I hate it. They do just blow the whistle, and they'll give a throw in, and free kicks just don't happen. And I'm getting more and more annoyed about it because at younger football, I can see you let teams get away with stuff. But like the other day in our game, we had a ball comes over the top. Our striker is rapid. Defender and the striker's coming. The ball bounces. It's going to go over the head. And I know our striker's going to turn and go, and she'll be through on goal, 1-on-1. And their player just 2 hands up and just bats the ball down, just like that. Free kick. No yellow card, no talking to, no nothing. I'm like, the 15-year-old girls now, you've got to start getting cards out. Like, I have not seen a yellow card in girls' football in 4 years of managing. And at 15s now, they're physical, they foul, they're dirty, they backhand to the referee, they argue about stuff, and they do deliberate handballs that deny a goal-scoring opportunity. Get your fucking cards out. I'm sick of it.
Well, we have said there's no, I don't know what the teaching progression is, where this kid's mentor was whether anyone from the FA. So I don't know why he's decided he wants to do that as a hobby, because he didn't want to do it. I don't know why he was there, but why is there not a bloke stood on the side saying, "Oi, mate, like, to give a free kick, blow your whistle, say stuff"? He never spoke. He never opened his mouth. Blew his final whistle and just walked off. That was the end of him. So that was the end of that.
At the end of it, though, didn't he?
Andy in the chat saying there should have been a red card on Sunday. Bob went clean through. And this kid called Billy, who absolutely hates Bob, every year the city just taken exception to him for the last 5 years, totally and utterly wiped him out, one-on-one, like it's a Stonewall red card. And again, Bob's got a big mark right down his thigh. I don't even know how he got him thigh high. It was incredible. But what's Andy saying? The ref said he downgraded it at under 13s to a yellow. Yeah. Anyway, not important, Baz. Right. What we're going to do tonight is we're going to try and go team by team from top to bottom. 60 seconds, 90 seconds on each team. I've taken the odds. Barry's taken the evens. A little bit of statistical analysis, a little bit of eye test, a little bit of opinion, and wherever possible, try to find a bet, or at least something to follow for that team between now and the end of the season. We're going to get back into the pick show on Thursday. But this is just a little warm-up for it. We're brought to you by mybookie.ag. SGPN started out with MyBookie, and now we're back. There's a new and improved website, which is really good on mobile. There's props for every game and the live dealer casino. Early cash outs. Head to mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip. That's mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN. And we're brought to you by Rebet. Rebet is a brand new social sportsbook available in 45 states. It's a huge market of betting opportunities, easy to use, great for people in states where traditional sportsbooks may be restricted. So download Rebet in the App Store and use the promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $100. That's Rebet, promo code SGPN. Right. Are you ready to fire through these, Baz, at pace?
At pace, absolutely.
Right, okay. So we're starting with Liverpool, Baz. Looked good, is my first note. I think the league form has been backed up in the Champions League, so nothing's really happening by accident there. A little bit more pragmatic, a little bit more control than under Klopp. And they've got a 5-point lead at the minute. 5-4 plus 125 to win the league. Now, they played 7 of the top 12, but they played 6 of them at home, Barry. Relatively easy schedule. The only away game they've played against the top 12 team was the 2-2 draw at Arsenal. So there's definitely tougher days ahead for Liverpool. Absolutely. They've only played 5 away games. 3 of them were against bottom 4 teams. So that just puts me off the 5-4 a little bit. As I do think, like I say, there's better days ahead. In terms of a weekly trend, only 55% of their games are going over 2.5 goals. So I think there's going to continue to be value in the under 2.5. For example, they play Southampton at the weekend. They're away at Southampton. Now, the under 2.5, it's north of 1-2. It's minus 227. And like I say, 45% they're not hitting. So I think there's going to be value there. A lot of that based on the defence. The expected goals against is only 9.43 in 11 games. So if they can keep clean sheets, like I say, with that pragmatic approach, there's a lot of 2-0 wins to be had in there. And really good discipline as well. They've shown 0 reds and only 21 yellows in their games as well. So they've got the 3rd best disciplinary record in the league. So under on the cards as well. But for a best bet, Barry, I don't like the 5-4. 11-4 for them to win the League Cup. They've been a good League Cup team recently. They've got a lot of wins under their belt. They're away at Southampton in the quarter-final, which is no worries for me at all. And then you get a 2-legged semi-final. Now, you take Liverpool, wouldn't you, against anybody in a 2-legged semi-final? They've got a good record. And I also like the fact that it comes a little bit quicker. It's done by February. The quarter-final games are before Christmas. So while Liverpool is still in form, while maybe Arsenal are trying to refocus, while Man City are focusing on the Champions League or whatever, Liverpool are in a good position to be able to concentrate on this pretty quickly as it comes up. So Liverpool 11-4 for the League Cup was the one pick I picked out for Liverpool, Baz.
Yeah, so I've gone. I mean, like you, 5-4 wouldn't attract me into Liverpool winning the league. Though saying that, I've got Man City here, and the 9-4 doesn't appeal to me at this point. Man City to win the league, 9-4, as I've just mentioned. Top 4, 1-6. Bottom half, 6-1. Relegated, 10-1. If you fancy that, any chance of this 131 charges coming to fruition? And bottom of the league, 14-1. I did back them for that at the start of the season. Can't remember the price now. Trends for Man City. Look at sort of what's happening in their games. 9 of their 11 games have seen both teams to score. So not keeping many clean sheets, which has been the problem this year. Their attacking stats are all right, though most of that came in the first few weeks where Haaland was bagging hat-tricks every week. Definitely gone off the boil recently, as we know. Lost 4 in a row. But yeah, 9 of 11 gone both teams to score, and 8 of the 9, those 9 have gone both to score and over 2.5 as well. As always with City, you're going to struggle to get prices for those sort of things. Second in the league, 5 points adrift. Not unusual for City to not be top of the league at this stage. As I said before, I asked AI, Malcolm, my friend, about Man City's league position at this stage in the last 5 seasons. And only once in the last 5 seasons have they been top after 11 games. Bear in mind, they've just won the last 4. It tells you it's not always crucial for them to be top at this stage. Though, in most of those, they haven't been as far as 5 back. The last time they were was 1920. Liverpool was 6 points clear in 1920 after 11 games, and Liverpool went and won the league that year. So that bodes well for Liverpool. And although I took City...
You said 1920?
It will have been because it was the COVID year, wasn't it?
Oh, right. Hang on. 2019, 2020.
Yeah.
Right. No, I thought you meant the year 1920.
No, 1920.
I was trying to say fucking hell, Baz. I mean, it's a stat, but I'm not sure I would. Right, okay.
Liverpool won at the COVID year, didn't they? Which was the year ending 2020. So yeah, I took City outright at the start of the season, and with a gun to my head, I'd probably take them again at this point, just because we've seen them come back so many times in the past, where they do get stronger as the season goes on. 9-4 though, just not that appealing at this stage with the form they're in and the Liverpool. And that's looking at the very recent form. In a few weeks' time, if they get back on track, then 9-4 might look appealing again. So yeah, I didn't really find a pick with Man City. But at the moment, gun to my head, I would still take them to win the league. 9-4 isn't a massively attractive price though.
Yeah, Man City were one of the teams I found it hard to try and find a bet on, particularly. Chelsea sitting in third. They are one of 4 teams on 19 points at the minute. It's incredibly tight, the league table, the top 12. 14-1 to win the Premier League, 7-1 to finish in the top 2, or 7-10, -142 to finish in the top 4. They've played 6 of the top 8. They've only played 2 of the bottom 6. So I think there's lots of reasons to be positive for Chelsea. You know, I've kind of been quite sweet on them this year. They've been really good as a favourite, Barry. If you want a Chelsea trend, 11-2 in their last 13 as a favourite. So if Chelsea are going off as the Jollies, they've been very reliable to be able to get that done. For me, I say they're clearly, I would say, a top 4 team. Although I've kind of got them 4th or 5th. And 4th and 5th for me is between Chelsea and Newcastle. The gap back to the others is just too big. So I mean, 7-10, that -140 it's a decent price. It's not a price I'll be taking. I'm not going to give it out. It's another cup here for me. And I did give this out earlier on when they were a much bigger price. And it's the Conference League for Chelsea, still at 9-10 at -111. There's nobody else in it. I think the nearest rivals are in it at Tottenham, who are dog shit. They won the last match 8-0 against the Mount Ararat people. So yeah, and like I say, the August.
Can we talk about Mount Ararat again? That was interesting. That
it was interesting, yeah. But yeah, Chelsea to win the UEFA Conference League is my best Chelsea bet, Barry, at 9-10.
Yeah, I like that one. I think when he put it out a few weeks ago, as you say, there's just nobody else in there. And as they get further into it, they'll start putting stronger lineups out and do what they do need to do to win. Arsenal next up. Arsenal down in third place. 100 to 30 to win the league, plus 330, which actually isn't that much bigger than they were pre-season, despite the fact they're miles behind. They're 10 to 11 to finish top 2, 1 to 10 to finish in the top 4. And well, that's about it. I didn't look at any of the relegation or bottom half odds, obviously. Trends with Arsenal games is unders in league games. 7 and 4 to the unders. Bearing in mind, you're going to get a good plus money price on that most weeks in Arsenal games. The unders is definitely worth keeping an eye out for. The one price that stands out for me is that 10 to 11 to finish top 2. If you shop around, that means you're going to get 10 to 11 for them not to finish top 2. And I think that's the better side of it. If you're going to give me a sort of flip of a coin over where they're finishing, I think outside of the top 2 looks the favourite to me at this point. They're sitting in 4th. They've won just 3 of the last 9 league games. Failed to win 6 of 9 is astonishing. They're 4 behind Man City, 9 behind Liverpool. And I just think it's a long way back. I said at the beginning of the season, I thought Arsenal would struggle. I talked about how they'd progressed every year. Their points total was going up and up and up. And I said it felt like they'd probably peaked. And I didn't think they had more points in them this year. And it's already looking to be likely to be the case. I think the start they've got off to is going to be really, really hard for them to come back from. So I would take Arsenal to finish outside of the top 2 at 10 to 11.
So I agree with you, Baz, totally. It's a few things that teams have adjusted to them. The set piece thing's gone. If they don't score a set piece, they don't score. And they've got a lot of kind of average players that were at crossroads who just don't appear really to have trained on. Martinelli, he's all right, isn't he? Trossard, he's all right. Havertz, he might be all right. I don't know. Some people think he's all right. Other people don't know what he is. I know what he isn't. He doesn't go and score 30 goals. I know what Gabriel Jesus, he's all right. And that's it. There's a lot of players who just haven't quite kicked on. You compare that to Salah, Diaz, even Nunes, Gakpo. There's no comparison, like. And then obviously Erling Haaland or whatever. It's City. So, yeah, I totally agree with you. Nottingham Forest, Barry. Interesting that we talk about Forest this high up the league table. I think if you compare, I can't even read my own fucking writing there. I think if you compare what their actual position with what's under the bonnet, I think that's the key with Nottingham Forest here. And I'm also slightly put off Forest by them being a very clear second best to Newcastle last week, because obviously it's a game I watch more closely than I would do a lot of games. They're 250 to 1 to win the league, 33 to 1 top 4, 9 to 1 top 6, 5 to 4 top half. I think Forest fans might be interested in that. Forest fans will probably be interested in the 9 to 1 top 6, because they've got some good players like Gibbs White. Elliot Anderson's doing okay. The big lad Milenkovic at the back's doing all right. This red flags for me, Baz, here. They've played 5 of the top 8, and they've only won 1 of those games. They've only won 2 of their 6 home games as well. They're only 3 points above 11th. That's how tight it is. I mean, in 2 weeks' time, they could be where we kind of assumed they were going to be anyway. They're 14th in XG, and that's including all the goals Chris Wood's banged in. As much as seems like a nice bloke, that's not going to carry on. It's impossible. I've watched him for 2 years with my own eyeballs. He can't carry that on. They're 4 to 7 to finish in the bottom half, which is a great bet, although it's far too short to advise them. Basically, I've got no bet for them, but I've just got to try. I'll be looking to fade them, Barry. I'll be looking to fade Forest, and I'll be looking to fade Forest, especially against top half teams, the teams around them currently. I think Forest are in for a bit of a tough go, but.
Yeah, next up I've got Brighton. Although before I go to Brighton, I should say I should have covered this in my Man City review. Really, it was breaking news tonight was that Pep Guardiola looks to have signed a 1-year contract extension. So obviously there'd been a little bit of a doubt about whether he would stay beyond the season, and some people wondering whether that was sort of playing into their poor form, bit of uncertainty around the place. So I do wonder whether that might have a little bit of a positive boost. You never know, but it looks like Guardiola is staying for at least 1 more year. But yeah, Brighton next. Brighton to win the league, 250 to 1. No, thanks. Top 4, 7-1. Top 6 for Brighton is 13-8. Finishing the bottom half, 100-30. And relegated 150s. Not going to happen. Look at trends for Brighton. It's goals again. It didn't start that way. Start of the season was quite low scoring. 7 of their 11 have hit overs and both teams to score. But it's more recently where it's become more of a regular thing. 5 of their last 6 have hit the over 2.5 and both teams to score. And at home in particular, lots of goals, not a lot of clean sheets. So I'll be keeping an eye on Brighton home games for goals in particular, over 3.5 or the over 2.5 and both teams to score. Still unbeaten at home as well, but only 1 clean sheet, which is why they're both teams to score. The other side of it's always worth looking at as well. In terms of a pick, I found Brighton very hard, really. Not a lot to choose from. They're 100-30 to finish in the bottom half, and they're 13-8 to finish top 6. Realistically, I think they'll fall somewhere right in between the two, 7th, 8th, 9th. So no real market that stood out for me where I'm really able to find a pick as such for Brighton. So no pick.
Joe likes Brighton to fall off a little bit. I'm not too sure, but there's a league table that I looked at, and it's the relative performance index, Baz, which is what it says. It's a relative performance index. And I looked for teams who were kind of out of place, and I've got a couple to highlight. Brighton actually aren't out of place. Their relative performance is 4th, where the teams who you'd expect to be lower, top half, Fulham and Forest, who are in that top half, their relative performance are actually way down, but Brighton's aren't. I think there's hope that Brighton can kind of continue. The one trend I've brought up before with Brighton, and I should have picked it once, I did pick it once, is Brighton to win a half, Barry. They've won a half in 9 of 11 games. And the fact, there's a couple of games that kind of highlight how they do that, because they got battered at home to Tottenham, 2-0 down at half-time. But they can just turn it around and turn it on. And they won that second half. Manchester City, they're 1-0 down at half-time. They won the second half. And then they did it differently at Newcastle, where they won the first half up there. It's a nice trend. It's about even money every week. So you back that, 9 out of 11. Yes, 7 units ahead, Baz. That's what's going on there.
Well, that's a good shout. I mean, the relative performance index sounds a little bit geeky for you, I'll be honest. Like, it sounds almost like intelligent.
I'm a many-layered man, Barry. I'm like an onion, as you well know.
That's all the moisturiser, that, Malcolm.
What?
That's all the moisturiser, that. Just peeling it off.
The moisturiser. I tell you, I nearly had to make a moisturiser shandy the other day because it was 4 p.m. and I didn't know whether to put the day moisturiser or the night moisturiser on.
We discussed this at home the other day, actually.
Did a squirt of each.
We discussed you and your day and night moisturiser the other day. Because Chloe had been at school and had been learning about metrosexual, the word metrosexual.
Oh, yeah.
And they were talking about what that is. And I said it's men who, like, you know, go a little bit overboard with our beauty regime and things like that. And then I discussed the fact that you have your day and night cream and you had that dilemma the other week at 7 o'clock at night. We didn't reach a conclusion as to whether it should be day or night. They just thought you were a bit of a fanny.
Well, I have established the rule, Barry. If the sun's out, because it's the skin surely is going to react to the sun, not the time. So the sun's out.
Not when you're sat in the lounge with the curtain shut, Malcolm, tossing yourself off.
If the sun goes down, yes, I am. Right, we'll quickly move on. I'm going to read this thing at the right time, Baz. Shut up. Underdog Pick'em has got one of the biggest menus for all sports: NFL, college football, college basketball, MMA, NBA, NASCAR. Use our code to sign up, which is, what is it? PLGP? That's the one. Claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code PLGP. And finally, our proud partner here, Rhythm, the #1 AI. Oh, shit, I've just banned it and then said it. Powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive models. You can bet on money line spreads, totals, and props. Build your own model. Choose one from the leaderboard. You can track props in the Rhythm app. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Right then. Fulham. It's my turn, isn't it? Fulham They're sitting where? 7th in the league? Crikey. Fulham are 750 to 1 to win the league, if you want to get involved in a bit of that. Top 4, 33s. Top 6, 8 to 1. Top half is 9 to 10, minus 111. Bottom half, 4 to 5, and 66 to 1 to be relegated. I think Fulham are all right. I think they're quite decent. I like the manager. I think he's proven on more than one occasion and in more than one place that he can assemble a decent Premier League team. I find them quite well balanced. The league reflects how well balanced they are, actually. They've competed well. They've won 2 and lost 2 against top half teams. They've only lost 3 of 11 periods. They've lost 3 of 11 full stop, which makes them hard to beat. Over 2.5, only 5 out of 11. Both teams to score 8 out of 11. So there's not much in the trends. But they've got really positive stats. The only time they failed to score was on opening day against Manchester United. They're 4th in shots on target, Baz. They're 3rd in shots. So there's a weekly bet if you want it. 4th in corners. You've got up the corners ladder. 18th in expected goals against. So in terms of a season-long future, I haven't got one. I would bet them top half at 9 to 10, minus 111. I'm not going to. That would be a pick if you wanted to bet them. But I think it's a reasonable price. But I'll be looking to back them against teams around them in the league. And like I say, they are a team to follow for those shots on target and corner stats. So there'll be a nice sort of weekly prop team or even a same game parlay team. But
yeah, next up I've got Brighton. Win the league 250 to 1. Top 4, 7 to. I've already covered Brighton, haven't I? I've already done Brighton. Yeah, I'm just reading the same notes once again. I'm going to scroll on from that. Next up is the big one, isn't it? It's obviously Newcastle to win the league 100 to 1. Top 4, 9 to 2. Top 6, 11 to 10. Bottom half is 6 to 1, and to be relegated 200 to 1. Not a lot jumping out in terms of trends. 6 unders, 5 overs, so split almost down the middle. Definitely a more recent lean to the unders, though. I think 4 of the last 6 have gone under 2.5 goals. I think Newcastle are starting to look better defensively. They've only conceded 4 in the last 6. And that's been a big part of the sort of recent turnaround in form. In terms of better, I think 11 to 10 for Newcastle finished top 6 is decent. It is a tight battle for those places. But I think Newcastle seem to turn the corner. Isak's now finding a bit of form. Currently sat in 8th, but that's with Forest, Fulham, Brighton above them, who I still think could drop a little bit. I can see those 3 dropping back. There's still a lot of competition for these top 6 places, but I think 11 to 10 is a decent price for Newcastle and a price I'd be happy to take.
I didn't look too much into them. I've got one Newcastle pick, which is Newcastle to win the FA Cup and the League Cup at 50 to 1, but I imagine we'll all be piling in on that because we're very good at winning trophies, but it's very much part of the DNA up here. Aston Villa next up, 100 to 1 to win the league, 11 to 2 top 4, 11 to 10 top 6, 11 to 2 bottom half. I think there's cracks appearing, Baz, and I think we're in a position, me and you particularly, and other Newcastle fans, of seeing exactly what happened to Newcastle last year happening to Villa. Started well, then they wobbled. They had an emotional start to the Champions League campaign, which is now starting to wobble. And I think they'll finish strong. But between now and kind of March, I think it's going to be a bit of a slog for Villa. They've picked up injuries. They've only got 1 league win in their last 6. Their only win against a top 10 team was against Fulham. And all the stats are very, very mid-table. So they're not in a false spot at all. I don't fancy them to make the top 6 at all at 11 to 10. But I do think they'll finish strong. We saw Newcastle finished with a wet sail last year. Got into 7th, probably should have finished 6th. So the bottom half doesn't appeal. I brought something sideways here, Baz. Hang on. I think 7th is realistic. Without the big six, I couldn't even work out who was in the big six, by the way. The seven, I don't know which one it is, but Villa aren't. Without the big six, Villa are 2-1. So if you fancy them to finish seventh, then I think you've got a squeak there. And that was about all I had for Aston Villa, Barry.
You may remember from the £1 Million show, one of my picks, Malcolm, was Villa at 5-4 without the big seven, which included Newcastle. I still can't believe they were given plus money for that, and I'd still be more than happy to think I'll get that. I'd say Brighton would probably be the danger at this point, but yeah, I'm still happy with that pick. Spurs, I think I'm up to now, unless I just repeat Newcastle again. Spurs, and I think you've just mentioned Villa 11-10 to finish top 6, Newcastle 11-10 to finish top 6. Here's the odds for Spurs: win the league 80-1, top 4 11-4. That doesn't appeal at all. Top 6 8-13. Spurs,
absolute bollocks.
Bottom half 8-1, relegated 400-1. Trends, first of all, 8-3 to the overs in their 11 games so far. Don't expect any kind of streak from Spurs. 5 wins, 5 losses, 1 draw. Their last 6 games have flip-flopped. Win, lose, win, lose, win, lose throughout. They odd you a win this weekend on that pattern. But yeah, you're not going to get any kind of streak out of Spurs. They'll be as inconsistent as ever. Corners, we've mentioned a few times on the show, so you keep following them. Averaging around 8 per game. In their 11 league games, and they've hit 12 or more on 5 occasions, so you can get a decent price for some of the fancier numbers in the corners markets for Spurs. So I'll keep following that. I can't have Spurs at odds on. 8-13 for top 6 looks far too tight. So it's another one, a bit like Arsenal, where I'd look for the other side. If you can get Spurs to finish out of the top 6 at 5-4 or something like that, I think that's a decent price. There's just too many teams in and around them fighting for those top 6 spots. And I think Spurs' inconsistencies might see them miss out. They've already lost half the games. They've lost 5 out of 11 games already. So I think, I just can't, I don't get why Spurs are a shorter price for top 6 than the likes of Newcastle, Villa, possibly even Brighton. So yeah, I would fade Spurs for a top 6 finish.
Yeah, I think what Spurs have demonstrated is that they can't be relied upon. You wouldn't want to be betting them in any way, really. Like, I took them to score goals at Palace, they lost 1. The amount of different ways that they can screw you over is remarkable. Because they can score goals and get beat, like they did at Brighton. They can be 2-0 up and lose. You can then back up to score goals, which would be fine if they then got beaten. They lose 1-0. They then lost at home to Ipswich. So you just can't. What Tottenham are going to be, and you're absolutely right, Baz, is a weekly props team. They're going to be goals, corners, same game parlays where there's all sorts of stuff going on. Tottenham have scored the most goals in the Premier League, but the away form in the Premier League is 16th best. It just tells a tale that one stat is way up here and the other stat's way down there, and that's where you are, and that's pretty much where you always are. They appear to be lurching from crisis to crisis. Ange's having his drop. The Great White Hope and Maddison playing like an absolute minge. Bentancur got 7 games. He's a very important player for them. So it's just a right old mess. Like Van de Ven, the best player's not being seen. So yeah, completely agree with you there, Baz. Brentford next up, 100-1 for a top 4 finish, 33-1 top 6, 3-1 top half, 1-4 bottom half, 14-1 still to go down. Brentford have been good. They've been lots of fun, haven't they? But part of why we like Brentford is the home and away splits, Barry. This one jumps off the page, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
At home, 1-5, drawn 1, lost none. Brilliant. Bet them every week. Away from home, played 5, lost 5. Again, bet them every week to get beat. Not a problem. Goals as well. Both teams to score 10 out of 11. Both teams to score, over 2.5, 10 out of 11. Both teams to score 9 out of 11. So basically, they're telling us what they're going to do every week. At home, there'll be goals and they'll win. Away, there'll be goals and they'll lose. Couldn't be any easier, really. They're reliable. I don't think they'll finish in the top half at 3-1. But again, a weekly thing with Brentford. What caught my eye was the next 2 games, Barry. It's a beautiful example of what we get with Brentford here. They're away at Everton at the weekend. They're going to get beat. No problem. The week after, they're at home to Leicester, and they'll probably win 4-2. Perfect. Not a problem. Easy to make money off Brentford, so we'll just crack on. We don't need any outrights because we can just win them. We can win with them every week, Baz.
Yeah, I'd looked at Brentford. Obviously, wasn't a team I was analysing, but that home away split just stands out like a sore thumb. You've got to keep following that whilst it's that way. Next up for me is Bournemouth, isn't it? Is that right? Yeah, I'm on Bournemouth.
Yeah, I didn't know you was doing it is Bournemouth, yeah. 12.
Bournemouth win the league 750 to 1, top 4 40 to 1, top half 10 to 11, relegated 66 to 1. All I found in terms of trends is a definite fade away from home, a little bit like Brentford. Just one win all season. They've lost 3 of the last 4 on the road as well. And at home, it's the opposite. Just won 3 straight games at home. So Bournemouth are going all right now. Find a little bit home, but a little bit of form, but it's mostly at home. I mean, that home form, they've just had wins over Man City and Arsenal in the last 3 games as well. Currently 12th, but just a point from 10th. 10 to 11 for them to finish top half just isn't big enough to appeal to me, where there's a number of teams in and around them competing for that top 10. Similar one to ones I've done before. If it was a similar price, 10 to 11 for them to finish bottom half, I think I'd take Bournemouth just to finish outside of the top 10 at 10 to 11. Not a strong pick, but I just think they're going to be in or around that mid-table positions. Their away form, I think they'll probably see them just finish outside of the top 10, probably finish 11th or 12th. So Bournemouth at around 10 to 11 to finish in the bottom half.
Do you not have a lovely stat there about how good Bournemouth are as favourites and all there, Barry?
Funnily enough, I think as favourites, Malcolm, there's something like 12, 3 and 3 as favourites. Funny enough, I did have that. But yeah, does that match up with what you've got there in the last 18 games as a favourite? 12 wins when they're favourites. But it does feed into what I've seen. A lot of those games will be at home. I think it's very rare where Bournemouth are going to be favourites away from home as it stands. But yeah, when they're favourites, they do good.
They are indeed, Barry. 12, 3 and 3 in the last 18 games. As I sent you that stat this afternoon when you were whinging that you couldn't find anything to write about. Manchester United, Barry, I get the pleasure of sitting in 13th place. I think Joe's had enough. Joe's long gone. We set 48 minutes, Joe. We said you'd have to wait. 48 minutes passed, by the way. We might not make this quick. 100 to 1 to win the league, 6 to 1 top 4, 15 to 8 top 6, 3 to 1 bottom half. They've got a new manager. Therefore, everything kind of goes out the window a little bit because everything hinges on how you view the situation. Whether Amarin can get them going quick, whether it's going to take a bit of time. Is it going to be a total full reset? Are they going to change the style of play? Does he have the tools to do the job? Personally, does he have the players to do the job? They're certainly close enough, if good enough. They're 13th. They're only 4 points off third. So if you are in on what Ruben Amorim's going to do at Man United, there's some great prices there. If you're a Man United fan or you think he's going to do it, crack on. The trends go out of the window as well. They're really strong to the unders, Barry. They're 45%. 55% under 2.5. Only 45% of their games are going over. But again, we don't know what effect Amarin's going to have on their style of play. Their schedule's been pretty balanced. They've got the second most clean sheets in the league, if you want to find a positive. And I did find the bet because I know we take the piss out of Man United, but I wanted to be positive. My pick is for them to win the FA Cup, Barry, 14 to 1. Nice price, isn't it? 7 to 1 each way. The third round is 7 weeks away, which gives Amarin a chance. You know fine well they're going to draw the lost City of Atlantis at home as well. And you've got a little transfer window in there. Might pick up a player or two. Another holders, by the way, that are defending champs. They knocked Man City off last year. A couple of soft home draws. Top teams with bigger fish to fry. 14-1 might be very live come March or April time next year, but
not co-signing any of that shape, Malcolm. Not having it. Anyway, moving swiftly on. West Ham. Top 4 finish for West Ham, 150. No, thank you. Top half, 7-2. No, thank you. Relegated at 9s. Probably not. Trends for West Ham, favourable lean towards the over, 7-4 in their 11 games. But particularly at home, over 2.5 goals in 5 of their 6 home games so far. Tough team to find a bet on as well. 7-2 top half and 9-1 to be relegated. And again, I just think they're one that's going to fit right in the middle of that. I don't see them pushing the top half, and I don't see them threatening relegation. So for a pick, one I've looked at possibly is Lopetegui to be next manager to go. He's around 7-4. He is the favourite. It just doesn't seem to be working out with him. He hasn't had the impact I thought he would. West Ham fans aren't happy with him. But the thing that makes us think he could be gone in the next, reasonably soon is a couple of tough games coming up. They're away to Newcastle. Newcastle's home form is good. Newcastle are looking a bit better. And then they've got Arsenal at home after that. 2 defeats there could be Lopetegui on the knife edge. So I'll chuck Lopetegui out as the next manager to go at 7-4.
Yeah, I backed him, didn't I? I had him at 8-1 when you had Ten Hag. So I'll be a little bit of an unlucky loser because I was on the right lines. My relative performance index, Baz, gave West Ham a little bit of hope. It's got them in 14th. Now, I know they are in 14th, but I think they can stay there. Do you know what? I can't see them getting sucked in any way. So, yeah, I think West Ham will just about be all right. Next up, Leicester City. 66-1, top half finish. 7-10, minus 142 to go down. And 4-1 to finish stone bottom, Baz. Leicester being competitive. Sitting in 15th. They've lost 4 games against the top 9, but in the 6 games against the bottom half teams, they've won 2, drawn 3, and lost 1. So only 1 defeat there in those 6 games. And if they can keep that up, I think they'll be absolutely fine. All the key stats, all the key indicators have them sort of round about that area, just below mid-table. So there is hope if they can keep that up. Both teams to score in 9 of 11 games is a good trend for them. Again, it's another one that I won't be betting, but if you're a richer man than me or a Leicester fan, the even money to stay up for Leicester is perfectly fair, Barry.
Yeah, I think possibly most likely of the 3. I wouldn't fancy backing them at even money to stay up, I'll be honest. Everton next for me. Win the league 1,500-1. Top 4, 200-1. Top half 25-1. Relegated 5-2. Everton at this point. Trends for Everton recently all about the unders. 5 in a row in the league have gone under 2.5 goals, and 6 of the last 7 have gone under. Again, another really difficult team though to find a bet. I found nothing on Everton, nothing really that I wanted to find. As I say, trends. I'll continue to take the overs. They'll do what they've done so far and what they've done the last few years, and they'll pick up points here and there, accumulating enough to keep them ahead of the bottom 3. I don't think Everton will go down, but I don't see them challenging any higher up on the table anyway. So yeah, no bet for Everton for me.
My relative performance index, there was 4 teams way away from everybody else. There was a gap from 4th up to 5th bottom, and Everton were well and truly in that shit 4th bottom. So yeah, I don't fancy much about them at all. Ipswich Town, 4-7 to get relegated, minus 175. Everyone in the chat thinks Leicester are going down, by the way. Nobody thinks my even money for them to stay up is indeed a fair price. If anyone else wants, any of you lot want to give me 6-4, send me a message. We'll get involved. 4-7 to go down, minus 175, and 2-1 to finish bottom. Now, they've only got 1 win, but that was a good one last weekend against Spurs. They've got 5 draws in there. A couple of good-looking draws. Home v Villa. They've got a draw at Brighton. They're not without hope, Ipswich. They get only over 2.5, so only hitting 5 out of their 11. But I think I can see progress with Ipswich, Baz. And this, for me, really is an eye test over the stats, because a lot of the stats actually are fucking terrible. They're 20th in XG and they're 20th in XG against. So that's not very good, I'll grant you. But I can see progress. I think out of all the teams around them, they've got the biggest ceiling. They've got the highest ceiling, Ipswich. I'm putting out, Barry, my biggest bet of the evening here. Ipswich to finish in the top half at 80-1, Barry. 8-0, 80-1, all aboard, toot. Come on.
That's bold. Very fucking bold.
80-1. You bet worse 80-1 shots in your life than that, let me tell you.
I'm not sure. I'm not so sure. Palace next for me. Palace to win the league, 1,000-1. Palace. They're a shorter price than Everton at 1,500-1. Top
the 500 points shorter, Barry.
top four, 200-1. Top half 12-1. Bottom half 1-25 for Palace, and relegated 100-30. Burlington Bertie. Trends, another team leaning towards the unders, and particularly at home, similar to West Ham. No, West Ham was over. Sorry, but anyway, unders at home. 5 of the last 6, and the last 4 straight have all gone under 2.5 goals. Just 8 goals scored by Palace. They're really struggling at that end of the pitch. So keep an eye on the unders in Palace games. And I think for a bet, I think, the bottom, the 3 promoted teams have been the favourites to go down from the start, still are. I think if anyone could threaten them, potentially Palace might be that team this season. From what we've seen so far, they can't score goals. And if you can't score goals, you're going to struggle to win games. And it's why I think Wolves, for example, would be okay, because they are scoring goals. And I think their schedule was horrible to start with. I think Wolves will be okay. You'll cover Wolves in a minute. So 10-3, 130. If you're looking for something that isn't odds on, because all of the promoted teams are odds on to be relegated, I think Palace is the team I would take. So 130. I think Wolves and Everton are both shorter prices, and I'm not that convinced that we've seen enough from Palace to justify them being, bigger chances to stay up than those 2 teams. I think they're very, very close. So Palace is a punt to be relegated, 130.
Yeah, they're on a little bit of a knife edge, aren't they? Always Palace. They haven't got much margin for error, and I think everybody did get sold by that little run they had at the back end of last season. The fans bought into it. The manager suddenly was the best thing since sliced bread. And it just hasn't come to pass. And like I say, they're on fine margins with injuries. You take Eze out. He's all right. He's not going to keep you up, though. He's a bit of a big lump. Gahey, might they regret not shifting him. And a few people are commenting, Michael saying if Eze disappears in January, Palace could be in deep shit. So Glasner might be another manager on the hot seat. You mentioned Lopetegui earlier on. Finally, we'll finish off with Wolves, 25-1 to finish in the top half, 13-8 to get relegated, and 12-1 to finish bottom. They've had a really tough schedule, Baz. That's what Wolves' main defence is for their position at the minute. They've played all of the top 6.
I'll tell you what the main defence is, Malcolm. The main defence is shit. They can't fucking defend, is the problem.
Well, yes, but they've had to defend against the current top 6, plus Villa and Newcastle. They've only played 2 of the bottom 8, Barry, and they won 1 and drew 1 against those 2 teams. So if you extrapolate that, Barry, for a few more, they're gonna shoot up. Both teams to score 9 of 11, over 2.5 and 8 of 11. I don't see why that can't continue. You've just said they're struggling to defend. They have got some good players, though. They can do enough to stay up without going nuts. I don't think they go on a mad run. They've got tricky games coming up, Fulham and Bournemouth. We need to see if they can build on that first win. They beat Southampton last week. But those sort of games, Fulham and Bournemouth, are where they're going to have to pick up points. No bet, Baz. I couldn't really find one, really. The goal trends, I like the goal trends on a weekly basis. But also, they are 20th in corners won, Barry. So we can fade them on the old corner kicks every week, Wolves. And a player who gets booked all the time is Totti Gomez. 4 out of his last 5 games, Totti Gomez has picked up a yellow. So we'll same game parlay, the under corners, with a Totti Gomez yellow card at the weekend. If Totti Gomez walked in here now, I wouldn't know who he was. Do you know what I wouldn't say? Are you Totti Gomez? I'd have no idea. Anyway, he's going to get booked at the weekend, but
if you did say that, he'd probably just kick you and get another yellow card.
Get a yellow card, yeah, agitate him. Totti Gomez.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you on Wolves and the schedule. I was joking about the defence. I think Wolves will be just fine. I mean, I got Wolves right last time out. I said they'd win a game, despite the fact they hadn't won a game in 10. Anyway, Southampton next. Win the league, 2,500 to 1. That's a big number. Top 4, 250. Top 10, 200. Relegated 1-6, Southampton. And bottom of the league, 11-8. The trends for Southampton, well, it's just defeats, isn't it? 9 of them in 11 games.
That's a definite trend.
They just keep losing. 4 points at home, none on the road. So there's a trend for you. Away from home, they just lose. Conceded 3 on 5 occasions so far as well. Worst defence in the league, worst goal difference in the league, bottom of the league. So why are they 11-8 still to finish bottom of the league? I think it looks a nice price to me. I think we both fancied Southampton pre-season for the drop. They were the biggest price. They were favoured. Of the 3 coming up, they were the ones that were favoured to have the best go at staying up. And we both said we didn't like that. I don't think they've got enough goals in them to pick up anywhere near enough points to survive. And I'm struggling to see who finishes below them. I've just seen a bit more from the other teams around them. I think Southampton to finish bottom is still a great price at 11-8.
Absolutely, Baz. That's one of my favourite picks of the whole show. Just behind the 80-1 Ipswich to finish in the top half. So that's an arse sniffer, Baz. That is the arse sniffer of the week. I remember looking at their squad at the start of the season. It was so light. They have got a player who scored for England this week, Barry, and I'd never, ever recognise him. You just talked about not recognising Totti Gomez. I saw the goal go in and he headed off to the corner flag. And if you asked me who it was, I would have had 1,000 guesses before the words Taylor Harwood Bellis came out of my mouth. Like, not a clue who that bloke was. And I shouted Bob through, and Bob didn't have a clue either, but there you go. Francis has joined us for the last 90 seconds. Frank, Thursday night for the pick show. Frank's got it. Is this a 9-1 6-timer for the weekend? Yeah. Chelsea, Arsenal, Fulham, City, Liverpool, Man United. So there you go. Okay. Oh, Frank, he wants Man United top 4. No, that's not happening. Shouldn't be allowed money. Barry, we did quite well there. We rapid fired all of that. We stopped saying AI. Do you have anything else that you want to tell the people before we let them go?
I could have loads to say, Malcolm, but we've gone 1 hour and 3 minutes here. So I'm going to wrap it up there and go get this stuff published.
Yeah, there was some other bits and bobs to get to. Lee had a tit list nomination. But we do get bollocks if we go over an hour. So we've already done that, so we need to stop talking. Thankfully, there's no international football now till about February, is there? Plus, we've got midweek cards coming up in the first week of December. We got all the Christmas Boxing Day. Now till the end of the year, Barry, this is it now. We'll start going through the gears. We'll take the handbrake off. And we'll start really firing stuff out. This is the really good part of the season.
Shout out, Malcolm. We need a new listener for the listener streaks.
We do need a new listener. What's Frank doing? Has Frank been in yet? He hasn't, has he?
Frank, get in among the listener streaks.
Yeah, we need picks for the listener streaks so you can start Friday night. If there must be something on, or you can start Saturday. But if anyone wants to get involved in listener streaks, just drop us a DM, drop us an email, text, WhatsApp, X, whatever. Get on Barry's TikTok, out like that. So, yeah, well done, Baz. That was good. I enjoyed it. We filled in some time, which was key. Thanks, everyone who joined us in the chat. Everyone appeared to be full of enthusiasm for what's to come. Good luck with whatever's happening between now and Thursday. And until then, we will see you all down the road. Cheers.